What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So it's been about 4 months actually since we last took at some of my personal choices for some powerful off-meta picks, and oh man, the meta's definitely changed a lot since then, and I personally really enjoy talking about these off-meta champions, just lesser played champions in general, essentially because I have a lot more fun playing these types of characters, and as well, a lot of times they can just be a potential surprise pick. And that surprise factor can honestly be huge in solo queue sometimes, since your opponent just has little to no experience playing against your champion when you play something weird or off meta. So once again, we're taking a look at 7 outstanding off meta picks for solo queue. So for a champion to make it on this list, our usual criteria is that they need to have a pick rate that is below 3%, which means that champion is seen less than once every 30 games or so, and that's a pretty reasonable statistic so far to go off of deciding whether or not a champion qualifies as being off meta. And we also wanted to include at least one champion in each role, so there should be hopefully something for everyone to try. And as well, I've partnered up with ProGuides.com for the editing on this video, who offer some awesome services to learn from the pros and the top tier players, including answers to any League of Legends questions you guys might have in under a minute. So if you're interested, they do have a free trial, so you don't have to take it from me. You can just go ahead and decide for yourself if you like it or not. Anyway, let's get started. Starting off on our list, we've got the highest win rate jungler in the game right now actually. Despite how strong he is at the moment with his win rate, SKARNER is still only seen in about 2.7% of all games played. Even though he hasn't really received a single change since Season 5, SKARNER's pretty much always been one of the more consistent tank junglers in the game, and has pretty consistently stayed at around a 54% win rate for several months now, and he's been a strong off-meta pick for quite some time. I mean, SKARNER's issue has always been sort of like his lack of mobility and the fact that he can kind of get kited and stuff, but he does definitely have a lot of itemization options that help him out quite a bit. I mean, once he picks up the Chilling Smite, Dead Man's Plate, stuff like that, along with just tier 2 boots, maybe a Trinity Force, just some movement speed items in general, he's got no problem catching up to the enemy AD carry to take them out of the fight. And picking SKARNER honestly gives your team huge possibilities to just turret dive, especially after level 6, since your ultimate essentially just becomes a free point and click kill ability as long as your team can actually help you focus down the target. Being able to dive the bot lane, pick up 1 or 2 kills, and then secure a turret or dragon is also really huge in solo queue and can let you just quickly snowball a game for a win. I mean, even better, SKARNER is also very easy to play and pretty forgiving overall. If you're in danger, your W can help you escape with some consistency. Overall, SKARNER is definitely in a great spot right now, and he's an awesome choice for anyone looking for a new, underutilized jungle pick. Next up, we've got a champion who also made our previous list 4 months ago, SION. However, last time, 4 months ago, we talked about taking him up in the top lane, but today we're looking at SION support. Although support SION only has a play rate of around 0.5%, his win rate is actually sitting at a pretty solid above 53%. And I've made a video about these strengths of SION support before, but it's definitely worth talking again considering how powerful he can actually be without any items whatsoever, and he's definitely an underestimated champion. His sustain issues are largely taken care of with a relic shield and some potions, and since you're going to max your E first, you can get in a pretty good deal of range damage or just help set up for ganks. I mean, with strong area of effect damage, the area of effect knockup, he's got the shield, SION actually becomes quite a powerful skirmisher in 2v2 situations, and he can always of course use his ultimate to initiate bottom lane or use it to roam for a kill elsewhere. Going for a typical support build gives him more than enough tankiness to survive teamfights as well, and his base damage lets him really help win out in 2v2 fights once it starts to go down. His playstyle it's a little bit tricky at first compared to other supports, but there's definitely no denying that he is actually quite a strong pick for any support player in solo queue. And for those of you mid lane players out there, our first mid lane pick is going to be ZILEAN mid. Now, I'm going to be a little bit honest here, ZILEAN can be a little bit tricky just to get the hang of. First, he's got a little bit of a learning curve, so I wouldn't necessarily step right into a rank game with him. However, he can definitely still be an incredibly strong pick to give your team that added utility. He's got mobility, he's got some crowd control, and he's actually currently seen in less than 1.2% of games overall. And ZILEAN's always been a really fun champion for me to play, and being able to speed boost yourself and your allies around the map while also dealing some nice area of effect damage, saving your teammates with your ultimate, he's got a lot of options, and just playing him feels pretty awesome. A well-timed ultimate can definitely completely turn around a teamfight, and it gives ZILEAN some amazing carry potential that doesn't rely on you doing damage at all in certain situations. If you can land his skill shots though, even if they're a little bit awkward, it's incredibly rewarding, and he does a ton of damage and has a ton of impact. ZILEAN's also seen a fair amount of competitive play, but for some reason he's never really been that popular of a solo queue pick. But if you do choose to play him, there's a great chance that it could result in some solid elo. Our fourth champion on this list is one that we just recently made a video on about last week, but he's honestly just so strong at the moment that I just had to include him on the compilation list, and that is of course Kog'Maw, who's currently a very highly underutilized pick in the jungle, but also in the bot lane. He has around a 54% win rate, he's got a 1.5% play rate in the jungle, and he has a 3.7 play rate as an AD carry. Now, of course, I know what you guys are thinking, 3.7%, well, that's obviously higher than a 3% play rate, which we said was our criteria for whether or not it qualifies as off meta. However, there aren't really any other AD carries that actually make sense to put on this list that I personally would feel good about recommending to you guys, and we wanted to include a champion for every role, and 3.7% isn't that much more than 3%, so Kog'Maw AD carry is our pick for the off-meta AD carry choice. You know, he's a little bit more popular than some of the other champions on this list, but the fact that he's still played so little and that Kog'Maw jungle as well is so powerful gives him a well-deserved place on our list. If you want to know more about Kog'Maw jungle, you can check out our other video on that, but if you also want to take him the AD carry, he's definitely in a really good spot right now. I mean, his build lets you get some early survivability with some wits end and on-hit builds and stuff like that, and you can typically remain at a pretty safe range against most meta opponents. You know, a lot of the champions who truly give Kog'Maw a hard time because of just like their huge engage potential or their assassination power just aren't entirely all that popular right now, especially while we're kind of anticipating the assassin reworks that aren't going to actually happen for a couple months. So as long as you've got a decent support by your side or maybe a nice front line, you can honestly just shred health bars like crazy. I mean, solo carrying as Kog'Maw is something that you can definitely do once you learn how to play the champion, and if you can play him well, he can just kind of straight up 1v5 in a lot of situations, and you should definitely be able to pilot him to a super solid win rate. Up next, we've got WUKONG jungle, which is someone who barely makes the cut in terms of popularity, but that I honestly feel really good about recommending to you guys. So WUKONG jungle is currently played in about 2.9% of games, but you know, remember 2.9% is less than 1 in 30 games. That's still a very small amount of actual being played. Wukong is one of the few junglers that can sacrifice sustain and kind of like a strong clear in the early game for his absolutely insane ultimate and just crazy teamfighting potential that he brings later on in the game. You know, his jungle clear isn't actually that bad. He does get some attack speed from his E, get some armor shred from his Q, but where he really shines is just straight up being able to completely disrupt teamfights with his awesome area of effect knockup. I mean, Wukong can also be really fun for early ganks because he's got a lot of shenanigans involving with his W, running out of bushes. You can engage into lanes with a little bit of stealth there as well. And with a red buff, I mean, you can honestly just stick on the enemy laners before they even really know what hit them. Wukong is actually pretty solid in 1v1 jungle duels as well, since his Q is actually quite a powerful effect in just a straight up duel. And if you're losing, you do always have the chance to just juke out your opponent and make a nice escape with your decoy. Wukong is a champion that lets you build a bit offensively as well, which gives him a lot more added carry potential than an area of effect crowd control tank like a Mumu might get. Which also does, in my opinion, make the game a lot more fun once you've actually picked up your core items as well, as opposed to just like a full tank champion. You know, overall, Wukong's definitely an underappreciated pick that you could for sure benefit from playing. So our penultimate champion today is Morgana middle. So with a 2.5% play rate, she hasn't entirely seen nearly the popularity as a mid laner that she has in the support role. So Morgana's black shield can definitely give her a somewhat of a supporty feel in the mid lane, but a lot of people just really forget how much damage she can truly dish out all by herself with an AP heavy build. I mean, you pick up a Rod of Ages, you get a Zhonya's Hourglass to give her some awesome survivability and to make it so that you can reliably land your ultimate in fights, and her QW combo just shreds unlucky backline champions who get caught out from it. You know, although Morgana doesn't entirely have that many favorable matchups, at least on paper, the thing is that with Morgana, you can just passively push the lane in whenever you need to, and she also has some really insane matchups against combo mages who rely on like a setup or some crowd control effect to kill you. I mean, if Annie or Anivia can never get their stuns off you because of their black shield, they're pretty much never gonna kill you, and since you can save an ally with it as well, you can actually just completely nullify some enemy counter picks. It's so crazy how strong of a counter pick Morgana can be in some situations, especially versus like a Vi jungle or just any champion that relies on single target crowd control to have an effect. And also, there's not really that much more satisfying than pulling off a huge area of effect stun for tons of damage with her ultimate and just seeing the enemy team melt while you're safe all by yourself stuck in your Zhonyas. Morgana's also a reasonably easy champion to play too, with a fairly straightforward playstyle, and she's got some great setup for ganks, and she's also quite difficult to get ganked herself, which makes her an ideal pick for someone who's just starting to learn mid lane. And last but not least, we've got Cassiopeia top, which is of course the pick you want to play when you just need to tilt TSM. You know, Cassiopeia top is currently sitting at a 0.7% play rate despite being played occasionally on the pro level, and she really is a surprise pick that can actually just kind of tilt your opponents out. I mean, her main strength in the laning phase comes from just being able to completely outrange and just harass the heck out of your opponent, just zone them like crazy. And since you're playing her in the top lane, there's also a really good chance that the enemy melee top laner will have no choice to just let you build up your passive and just burn through their health potions and their sustain over and over again until they get sent back to base or they just die, honestly. A very skilled Cassiopeia player just has enormous kill pressure, even without using her ultimate at all, because the sustained damage overall is just crazy. And although Cassiopeia is actually probably the most difficult champion to play on this list, she's definitely worth learning to pick up, and she's honestly just extremely fun once you actually get the hang of her. Once you're past the laning phase and you kind of abuse the hell out of the enemy top laner, Cassiopeia also transitions great into the rest of the game. Just like she would in the mid lane, you absolutely just destroy teamfights with a crazy amount of AP and huge sustain damage, and she also brings insane solo carry potential to a game, because if you land a good ultimate in a fight, you just win on the spot. And even though playing her in the top lane can be a little bit tricky, once you get the hang of her, you can actually come out ahead in almost every single matchup actually, since she has so many options. Overall, that was just our choice for some of the strongest off-meta champions right now. I personally love playing off-meta champions. It's something that I really enjoy, and I think there are a lot of strengths that off-meta champions bring to the table that are fairly underappreciated. And although they might not be the best champions if you're playing at the challenger level, these types of advantages are something that are very real and just very serious when you're playing pretty much almost any elo except for challenger, really. And honestly, they can just be a lot more fun champions to play as well, and that's really why I enjoy them so much. And definitely comment below what your favorite off-meta champion is. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, a dislike if you didn't. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.